So let me tell you a little story. It wasn't easy to get my license to drive my car. In fact, it took me much longer than it should have done. It took me way too freaking long for anyone to even stay into that sort of mindset. Do you know how long I've been driving for? Before I passed my test? I started learning how to drive when I was 18 years old. I passed my test September just gone, so I was 24. 6 years. 6 freaking years. I guess you could say sometimes it was a bit on and off. There's been like a 6-month period where I haven't driven. And there has been some driving instructors I either didn't get on with or they were just shoddy. I mean, I've probably been through about, 11 driving instructors, all from different areas. I got sick of having all these different driving instructors, their own little ways, teaching me how to drive and telling me how to do this and that and the other. So you know what I did? I adopted my own way in driving. I got all the best bits that they taught me and all the best things that adapted to me, and I made my own way that I know how to drive. And I can drive. But this is the kicker. When it comes to my test, I wasn't actually test ready, purely for the fact that I wasn't with a driving instructor long enough for him to actually give me the green light and go, yeah, you're ready for your test. Because all the driving instructors I were with were either people that just wanted your money, so they would just let you drive your car for an hour. I used to get the driving instructor to pick me up, he would drop the car off outside, and I'd drive myself to work. And I would have just paid him for like half the lesson. He didn't tell me how to drive, he just sat there in the back, sat there next to me, looked out the window, started humming his little tune, drive myself to work. Didn't tell me what to do, didn't tell me what's going on. This is in my second year of driving. My first year was a bit shoddy, wasn't very good at it. After the first year, just came natural. Second year, I got good. I got to the point where I can drive. And then I was with another driving instructor that was persistent that he wanted his 100% pass rate to be absolutely perfect. So again, I kept on arguing with him. You know I can drive. I can drive. Why you not let me have my test? Because he gives too much of a shit about his 100% pass rate. He gives too much. He cares too much about his perfect record. I know a lot of different driving instructors from there, but one of them accused me of being like off my head. Not being funny, but I haven't took anything like the kind since 19? I was 21. Telling me I'm off my head. Sure, give me a drugs test. I'll pass out with flying colours. Couldn't prove it. I wanted to prove it. You didn't want to. So that was another year wasted. I was getting really sick and tired of driving instructors. I wanted to get all of this driving sorted out. It's not until I went up to Scotland and I was like, right, this next driving instructor, I'm not having any other driving instructor. I'm going to annoy the out of him. He's going to be the one that is going to scream and cry and beg me to pass. Because I became determined. So, first lesson, got into the car. Bearing in mind this guy only really teaches new people really. He doesn't teach experts. He teaches people that basically never driven a car before. So he was like, what's your experience? I was like, I know how to drive. He says it's a bold claim. I was like, you're going to pass me. And he's like, oh, well, let's hope so. So in the first lesson, he was using the clutch. He was braking when I was braking. So he'll end up stopping halfway down the road. And then I'd turn around to him and I'd say, leave the clutch and the brake alone. I know how to drive. And it took a few lessons for him to not touch anything. I know when to brake. I know when to use my clutch. I feel like he was babying me. He was spoon feeding me. So I had to tell him, no, you've got to let me fly on my own wings. There I was, third lesson in. He actually turned around to me and was like, how come you haven't done your test yet? Well, he's asked me. Do you want to try and do your test? Alright. But my first test, nervous as hell. Anxiety kicked in. My anxiety kicked in for all the tests. I'm really bad with driving tests. I don't know what it is about driving tests, but when you can drive in a lesson or on the roads normally, you don't think of it, you just drive. But on a test, it's like your brain shuts off and you don't know what you're doing. So, and I'm super bad with driving tests. My first test, I remember that more than all the tests, he basically, sakes. He basically told me for everything, so like, get in the car. First you do like a tell me. Go out to test centre, do a bit of a drive somewhere. I'm going to do a show me, and then I'm going to do a manoeuvre, and then he's going to instruct me to drive all the way back. Do you know what? I did everything flawless, except from when one fucking dildo came from the back of me and decided to me up. Because when I parked over to do, because you have to like do manoeuvres where you have to like park in a few times, and then you have to pull out, you know, so you have to like check around your shoulders, and you got to check your mirrors and stuff, you know, standard stuff. Obviously I see this bellend pulling to the back of me. I thought I was just parked up. So when I turned around and indicated off, he tried to come out. Don't know what the fuck he's doing. Don't know what's going on. He doesn't know what's going on. Because he was going to pull out, tried to stop, and he fucking stopped because he was indecisive and he was hesitating. I don't know if he was trying to stalk me or a complete pain in my ass, but because me and him kept stopping, this freaking guy came over here, had to stop. I basically end up failing of a perfect record, a clean sheet, because this dildo behind me couldn't make up his mind whether he wanted to cut around me, because bearing in mind, when you do your test, you've got to give people 100% of everything. Like, you know, you see a car all the way down the end of the road, you've got to fucking stay there, because if you make that car slow down or stop, you fail. That's it, that's just how it works. And yeah, I failed. I failed because of that bellend. And he even said, if it wasn't for that person, you would have passed. So whoever the you are, thanks for that. It wasn't any easier the second and the third, fourth time, you know. They just kept failing, and I kept getting more and more and more pissed off, feeling that I'd never get my license, and I'd never get where I want to be, and I'd never get, you know, to get this car be on the road or anything. It's like they were stopping me, they were preventing me from getting where I want to be. And every time it's just one mistake, whether that's it was in rush hour and no cars were letting me through, and there was literally no gap in there, and I got done for hesitation. And because I had to pull myself out through this horrendous traffic, again, I made a car freaking slow down because I couldn't get through. Because at this point I was sitting in traffic for 3 whole minutes, 5 minutes, felt like hours waiting for a gap. No one was giving me a gap, so I had to take the whatever gap I had, and because I had to take that gap, it failed me because I made the car slow down. Well, I was either going to fail for being too freaking hesitant, or I was going to fail for that. Just little things like that, stupid little things like that. I had a panic attack during a test, and I couldn't start the freaking car, because the car's a 1 litre, and it's a Golf, so it's a heavy ass Golf. Easiest car to stall, too easy to stall, so I stalled it. And because I was panicking, I couldn't get a car started. The electrics in the car prevents you from starting it when you turn the ignition, because you have to like force it out of gear, and you've got to make sure the car stops. And I didn't realise the car was stopped. The car was trickling onto the freaking roundabout. Screwed up, failed. Every car in a flipping roundabout to stop because of me. Do you know how many times it took for me to pass my test? About 8 or 9. One after the other, after the other, after the other. As soon as I failed my test, I booked another one. I hated myself for it. Every time I had to go back onto the .gov screen to rebook my test, I felt sick. I didn't want to do it. I hated everything about the test centre. I hated DVSA. I hated everything. My driving instructor hated me. He didn't. He liked my company, but I feel like he had to deal with me because I wasn't letting out. And he always said, "Why didn't you just get a bike? Why didn't you just not get a car? Why are you still pushing forward?" Because I want to. Because I have to. Because I'm determined. And every single time, you have an argument coming back. Every time I fail the test. So you're always, there's always one fucking silly mistake. I know it's one silly fucking mistake. But I'm still not going to let out. And that's why he got pissed off. Because I wouldn't let him rest. Because I wouldn't rest. And I was that annoying in his life. But you know what? I turned around to him on my 9th time when I passed. I don't even think I actually got really anything really. I think I got like 2 minors and that was it. And that was because I didn't let a transit van come down. Basically, it was on my road. I basically went round the car when the van was coming up. Now I should have stayed behind this car and let the van cross. But I had enough gap to go down, but I got a minor for that. And there was another minor as well that I had. Plus I had grit in my face because he told me to wind the freaking window down an A road, and because it was wet and there was a grit truck that went past. So I had a spray of grit on my face. He was finding it freaking amazing. I used to was finding it funny. I wasn't, because I couldn't see. And I turned around to him and goes, I wouldn't be laughing if I was you because I can't see. I'm doing 60 miles an hour with grit in my eye, and you're laughing at that. If I smash into a bollard, you won't be freaking happy, would you? Even like where I'm scratching now, there was grit everywhere in my eye, like horrible, absolutely horrible. Road sweat, you know what I mean? Like the wet, rainy crap, horrible stuff. Blind pretty much. Like to the point where your eyes are pretty cloudy. It was a horrible day that day. Rainy, moggy, ugly, dirty ass day. Really dirty weather. But after all that blood, sweat, determination, stressing out 9 times, determination, and guess what? I fucking passed. And now I'm driving, and now I've got a car, and I pushed through everything. I pushed through every negative thing that I've been through. And I went there and I did it, and I got my medal and I got my gold. Now, there's a little story I want to share with you to do with determination, because If I wasn't that annoying prick, do you think I'd be driving now? No, it's because I was that annoying prick that I got what I got. It's because now I can drive on the roads. By the way, right, that's another little thing. Don't drive like a cunt on the road. Everyone's got to use the road, right? You're putting families, you're putting lives at stake. So if you think drunk driving is fun, and you're just a idiot. And people who drive without insurance, don't be a right, innocent people got to use that road. So if you end up rear-ending some guy and you kill them, that's on you. Just because you're too adolescent to actually be mature enough to actually look after your own body and not get in a car or get a taxi if you're too drunk enough. Don't start putting other people's lives in danger just because you're f***ing stupid. Don't drink and drive. Don't do drugs and drive. Don't drive without a goddamn license unless there's a freaking driving instructor next to you. Right, I don't want to leave on a sour note. The reason why this upload has taken too long is because my internet was screwing me up today. The message of the day was that determination and just hard work is actually going to pay off. You just keep at it, you just got to stick at it. That's all it really takes. I never thought I'd get to the end of the tunnel, but like with anything, there's always a light at the end of the tunnel. Just a quick brief on. Don't know if I'll be doing anything tomorrow because obviously this internet screwed me up, but I will post a video whenever my internet is actually working properly, and I hope to see you soon, yeah? So do take care.